Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Public Works section for Tuesday, October 13th of the Neshaminy School Board. Mrs. Burns, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Parentano.
Present.
Mr. Allen.
Present.
Mrs. Bowman.
Here.
Ms. Boyle.
Present.
Mrs. Hallenbach is absent with prior notice. Mr. Kovitz.
Here.
Mr. Marrington.
Here.
Mr. Cirillo.
Here.
And Mr. Sullivan is also absent with prior notice.
Thank you. Would everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Prior to today's meeting, the board met in executive session to discuss matters of employment, issues related to labor relations, the purchase or lease of real property, matters related to litigation, and matters related to school safety and security. Mrs. Burns, do you have any announcements?
No announcements.
Thank you, Mrs. Burns. Dr. McGee, Superintendent's report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Parentano. I'd like to start the superintendent's report off with introducing you to a group of students from Maple Point Middle School who would like to invite you to an annual celebration here at Maple Point. Mr. Stanley, the video, please.
Good evening. I'm Matthew Elizondo.
And I am Natalie Smahowski.
Maple Point Middle School will be holding its annual Veterans Day ceremony on Tuesday, November 10, 2020. This is a wonderful way for our students and community to show appreciation for the sacrifices that our local veterans have made and to celebrate the courage of our veterans have shown in defending our country. This year, our recognition of our veterans will look different, but the sentiment is stronger than ever.
The Maple Point staff and students would like to invite veterans and their drivers to participate in a Parade of Heroes drive-through on the Maple Point campus. Using a one-way traffic flow, vehicles will enter the campus at the Woodbourne Avenue entrance, be greeted by district staff, students, and honored guests, and depart at the Langhorne-Yardley Road exit. In recognition of safety, participants will remain in their vehicles. The parade begins at 1 p.m. and should conclude by 2 p.m.
In addition to the Parade of Heroes, we will be creating a Veterans Day video that will be distributed to the community through Neshaminy social media sites. Remember, no registration is necessary for our parade, and we will look forward to seeing you on November 10th.
Thank you, Maple Point's Veterans Day Committee and students for inviting the board and our community veterans. Again, veterans, you do not need to make a reservation. Simply contact Maple Point and they'll give you the procedures as to what you need to do. Second, from the superintendent's report, you'll find in board docs our October enrollment report. Enrollment is stable. That sums up the enrollment report. On October 2nd, Neshaminy began the blue-red hybrid model, and we've now been running that for over a week and a half. And I cannot say that as superintendent that I could not be prouder of our students, their parents, and our staff, because everybody pulled in the same direction. They followed procedures. It was difficult on everybody and remains to be a challenge in many areas, but I see the school district at all levels working to get kids back into school. So as a reminder, students are in school two days a week, and the other 3 days, 2 of those days are live streaming from home, and the third day is a whole class is Zoom. So we're in our second week of that, and we continue to make our strides and find our rhythm in that pattern. Mr. Stanley, my PowerPoint. There we go. I'm behind already. So status of our blue-red hybrid. This gives you an idea of the options and flexibility within our plan. The first and the second column is those who are in the blue-red hybrid model. The next column, D1, as it has become to be known, are those who are live streaming from home. And you can see there are 1,152 in that program at the moment. About 120 have elected to join our virtual academy. Mr. Devlin and his team and his special ed staff at 6 different buildings have brought in special needs students, just over 200 beginning September 8th. They've been in 4 days a week. And you can see the number of students that have chosen to homeschool. And I honestly don't know if that's remarkably different than past years, but I can get you that information. So it gives you a general idea of the academic programs that we're offering and where people have selected to go. We approximately have 87% in the blue-red hybrid and then 13 to 14% elsewhere. Continuing on. Beginning now, boy, is that not easy to read. I'll explain that. The district is now publishing a COVID-19 dashboard that reports the cases that we've tracked here in the school district. So I'll explain what that means in a second, but I'll show everybody the numbers. So here are our secondary buildings. We are tracking them by staff, student, and those who are involved only in co-curricular activities at our 4 secondary buildings. And then there's a final category of district office employees, not district office, district-wide employees. I would fit in that category. Our bus drivers would fit in that category. Our facilities workers would fit in that category. And we'll track them by week and report out to the public on them. Here's our elementary level. And you can see those 2 cases. Our hybrid model began on October 5. Some of the caveats as to what goes on the dashboard, I know it can't be seen, but the only cases that we report out on are those that have been impacted our contact tracing within our school. So if a positive case came to school within the 2-day window of concern, we report out. If a case is positive in the community outside of that 2-day window, we may not even know about it, even though the child attends one of our schools. So that is the caveat. In addition, those numbers that we're reporting out on do not indicate whether that the virus was contracted outside of school or inside of school. I can safely say, with the exception of the final tally there in the most latest week, that there's no reason to believe that the virus has moved in our schools. It has come in, but it has not moved. But there's one outstanding case that hasn't reached its 14 days. So we'll continue to do this to keep the community informed in a transparent nature. There is a little bit of confusion out there, and it's probably my fault, in the area of co-curricular. These particular events happened before the hybrid model began. And those particular students either didn't come to Neshaminy High School during that window of opportunity, could have attended the technical high school, could have attended a cyber school, a charter school. So their positive case affected their team, which we did notify, but there was no need to notify the entire building. If that were to happen once we're in hybrid, they would probably, in many cases, fall in this area. So our job is to be transparent and make sure people can make the best decisions as to what's going on. So this is a way to track those individual letters that are going out, and it's up and live now, and we will keep it up to date as we move forward. And the final piece of the superintendent's report, the next step of our reopening plan, is to take a look at the ability to bring students back in beyond the hybrid model. The cabinet and I will have a recommendation out on October 22nd as to what that next step looks like. That is a big step between where we are to bringing all students back for full-time. And the biggest leap in that is the idea that instead of being 6 feet apart in static areas like we are on the stage, students will, for the most part, be less than 6 feet, in many cases only 3 feet apart. So that is a big leap in that next step. So we'll talk more about that on October 22nd. I'll send something out to the community, the parents, and then the board will have a presentation and be able to entertain community comment on October 22nd. Mr. Parentano, that's the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much, Dr. McGee. I'll bring us to our first public comment. Are there any sign-ups?
No sign-up.
There's no sign-ups. Does anyone in the audience wish to approach the podium for public comment? Seeing none, we're going to move on. I'll bring us to our Section 3, action items. 301, certified staff appointments. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following appointments for certified staff, and there are 2 employees on the list. Motion's been made. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Kovitz. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. What are we getting today? 7-0. 302, Mr. Allen.
Mr. President. 302 on the agenda, certified staff leaves of absence. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following leaves of absence for certified staff, and there are 5 staff members on that list.
Thank you. Motion's been made. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bowman. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. I believe it's Mr. Marrington is 303.
Yes, 303, support staff appointments. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following appointments for support staff. And there are 7 names.
Thank you. Motion's been made on 303. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Boyle. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. I believe Mrs. Boyle, you're 304.
Support staff leaves of absence. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following leaves of absence for support staff, and there are 2 names there.
Thank you, Mrs. Boyle. A motion's been made on number 304. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Kovitz. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. 305, is that Mr. Cirillo?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for 3.05, co-curricular appointments. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following co-curricular appointments for certified staff subject to the following conditions. 1, in the event the activity is canceled for any reason, including acts of God or pursuant to an order by the Governor of Pennsylvania or Pennsylvania Secretary of Health prior to the commencement, the coach advisor will receive no compensation, and or 2, in the event the activity has commenced and then canceled for any reason, including acts of God or pursuant to an order by the Governor of Pennsylvania or Pennsylvania Secretary of Health, the coach advisor shall receive pro rata compensation for the period of services rendered. Listed is 35.
Motion's been made on number 305. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Bowman. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Brings us to number 306. Is that Mrs. Bowman?
Yep.
306, co-curricular resignations. Resolved that the Neshaminy Board of School Directors hereby approves the following co-curricular resignations, and there is one name on the list.
Thank you. A motion's been made on number 306. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Cirillo. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. That brings us to section 4 of our meeting. Items for approval at the public board meeting. 4.01, reopening of schools, move to Plan A all in. 4.02, school calendar adjustment, designated November 3rd, Election Day, as an online day for all students. Section 4.03, pre-K partnership agreement with the BCIU. 4.04, settlement agreement. 4.05, Sunday facility usage. 4.06, out-of-district placements. 4.07, NSD PA Leadership Charter School Settlement. Brings us to committee reports. Business operations, Mrs. Hollenbach is absent today. Mr. Allen?
The next business operations meeting will be on November 17th here at Maple Point at 6:30.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. That brings us to the educational development meeting. Mrs. Bowman?
So our next meeting will take place on Tuesday, October 20th at 6 p.m. at Maple Point.
Thank you. Facilities and planning, Mr. Sullivan is absent. The next meeting will be here at Maple Point at 6:30 on November 18th. Brings us to policy. Mrs. Boyle.
The next meeting will be October 29th, right here in the boardroom at 6:30, and we are going to do a review of the bylaws.
Thank you, Mrs. Boyle. Representatives report. IU Board. Mr. Cirillo, please.
The Bucks County IU has been navigating the COVID waters, so to speak. They are continuing to provide services at their locations, as well as working with the school districts and their reopening plans. Aside from that, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Cirillo. Neshaminy Education Foundation. Mrs. Boyle.
The board of the Neshaminy Education Foundation met on Monday, October the 12th, and at that meeting they decided to donate the money normally used for teachers' grant programs toward the purchase of 400 headset microphones that will make it easier for teachers to talk with students joining their classes virtually on Zoom. The amount of this donation is approximately $13,000. The board also agreed to explore additional fundraisers during the school year to help offset the cost of other classroom needs related to the COVID-19 pandemic. And the NEF is actively seeking new members, especially alumni and a student representative. And anyone who is interested should contact any member of the board. And our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, November the 9th at 4 p.m. and will be held online.
Thank you, Mrs. Boyle. PSA liaison is for me. At this time, there are really no developments from the PSBA. Brings us to the technical school. Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Veritano. The Bucks County Technical High School Joint Board Committee met September 29th at 7:30. I'm looking over I was going to read this. I hope it doesn't confuse anyone. This is the plan for the tech school. They are on track to reopen. In fact, they did yesterday, with 25% of the students learning in person in a hybrid model starting on October 13th, which is day one of their rotation. The students will rotate coming into the building for the technical classes by grade, which is approximately 25% of the school's total enrollment. When any two grade levels, or are on a technical rotation, each grade will come into the building every other day. This way, each grade will have 3 days of in-person learning in their technical area. The other 2 grade levels that are in academic classes will remain virtual during this 25% hybrid model. And I'll stop there. That gets you an idea of what the tech school is trying to do. And so far, I have heard no feedback that, as far as I know, everything went well starting yesterday. A couple other items that I have out of place. We also discussed our Pennsylvania School Board Association candidates, and we accepted a few grants. We accepted the Teen Parenting Grant funded by Maternity Care Coalition, managed through our own Neshaminy School District, to be used for homebound tutoring services for the 2020 through 2021 school year. We accepted the 21st Century Community Learning Centers Cohort 9 Year 4 grant in the amount of $399,900 for the period October 1st, 2020 to September 30th, 2021. I think that is my last. The next meeting of the joint board will be October 26th at Bucks County Technical High School boardroom at 7:30. And that concludes my report tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. That brings us to our second public comment period. Does anybody wish to approach the podium and make public comment? Seeing none, we're going to move to future topics. Does any board member wish to discuss a future topic? I would like to add a future topic. I spoke at last board meeting, I believe, about the need that we consider some updates to our policy 006, 006.1, 903, and 012. At the time, I indicated that we were discussing with our legal representatives. Those policies have been reviewed. Updated recommendations will be added to the policy meeting agenda to be held on the 29th. They deal basically with the public speaking policy. We have added provisions to deal with, number one, when we're in a virtual environment, and number two, with more participation by the public that would choose not to attend meetings due to situations like we're in now, a pandemic. That'll bring us to board comment. Mrs. Bowman, do you have any board comment?
I do. I just wanted to say welcome back, Neshaminy. All the feedback I've heard about this hybrid model, it's going very smoothly. Also, just wanted to make an announcement to the parents of 8th graders and 8th grade students. Bucks County Technical High School will be opening their application process on November 5th, and you can obtain that application right on the front page of bcths.org. So get those applications in. They will be available on November 5th.
Thank you, Mrs. Bowman. Mrs. Boyle.
Yes, I just wanted to mention that the Education Foundation is going to be participating in the Boscov Friends Helping Friends on Wednesday and Thursday of this week, and basically people get 20% off almost anything, and the foundation will receive 5% of the total price as a donation.
Thank you, Mrs. Boyle. Mr. Kovitz, please.
Not much to say other than it's good to be back. So thank you. Good to see everyone.
It's nice to have you back. Mr. Marrington.
Yeah, no, I have nothing else to add tonight either.
Thank you. Mr. Cirillo?
No comment this evening.
Mr. Allen, please.
Yes, I'd like to make one correction. I misspoke. The first day of the tech school was today, Tuesday, which explains why I haven't heard any feedback yet. I just wanted to make note of the Maple Point group putting together their annual Veterans Day ceremony. It's a program that I thoroughly enjoy. I'm going to miss being able to come here. I enjoy the interaction of the students with the veterans, but I'm just pleased they were able to come up with an alternative under our circumstances, and 2 big thumbs up for that group. Way to go. So, I believe, other than welcome back to football. We had a fantastic opening game last week. Keep our heads up. I've enjoyed watching it online. I'm just glad we were able to get all the 3 main groups, our band, our cheerleaders, and our football teams in the stadium, and their parents able to watch. So welcome back, Skins. And that's all I have tonight.
As customary, I forgot again to offer Dr. McGee an opportunity to address the board. I blame that on Mr. Cirillo for forgetting to remind me. So, Dr. McGee?
Nothing at this point, Mr. Parentine.
Thank you, Dr. McGee. I'd first like to mention that our next board meeting will be October 27th, 7 p.m. in this auditorium. I want to thank the Neshaminy Education Foundation, all their volunteers, for that very generous donation to help our teachers. I'm sure we're going to need more of them headsets as they become more popular, and we'll have to see how that works out and see how we can add to that if possible. I want to thank again the Maple Point family here on their Veterans Day celebration. Every year, the Maple Point crew here, the students, the teachers, staff, and those local veterans that participate, it's a great event, as Mr. Allen had mentioned. Other than that, welcome back to our hybrid program to our students and teachers. As Mrs. Bowman had stated, I have received some very, very positive feedback from parents and students alike that are glad to get some type of social exposure and see their friends again and just get back to a remnants of a normalized environment for them. And hopefully we're going to continue to improve and move forward towards our ultimate goal of getting back to a 100% normalized school environment. I have nothing else. I want to thank everyone for coming out. We appreciate it. And I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Someone has to second that.
Second.
Second by Mr. Allen. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone. Good night.